What's up, Gio?
What's up? I love it. I told you that the what's up thing is.
It's there's not too much of the dad joke coming out there, right? A little bit, but
I wanted to look up a good renewable energy joke and I didn't. It was too daddy. They were too like,
I've heard a couple. I had somebody say, "Can I get a watt?"
yeah. There's T-shirts. There's nice
Oh, there's
watt
T-shirts.
T-shirts. Yeah.
All right, that's good.
No, it
Well,
made me think of Do you remember the Super Bowl commercial that was like, "What's up?
that's it.
What's up?"
What's up? Was that
And
Budweiser?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it was. Yeah. So now
What's
it's
up?
what's up.
What's up?
So I love it. Happy to be here.
Yeah, thanks. And first time to Tehachapi. I don't even know how that happens.
I don't either. I told you that I was in Palm Springs, one of my first projects in 2010.
Yeah.
So it's 14, 15 years ago, and I think I've driven through, but I've never stayed here.
Yeah.
And it feels like I've missed out on like the birthplace of wind energy. So it's awesome to be here, and had a nice morning driving through with you and seeing the thousands of turbines that are out here.
Yeah. So we went Willow Springs back over. They call this the wind wall. The wind turbines right there, and you get over the side of it, and starts to come downhill and flatten out in the Mojave. But it's when you peek over that crest, it's like an ocean of blades spinning. Right.
It's a major. It made me realize just how big. Sometimes we get lost in the industry. We've been in it a while, and you realize like here, how many people are employed in this space. The site we just went to had 75 people.
Right. I never really thought to add up how many people were employed in renewables right here.
Right.
And we were sitting there talking with one company was 75.
Yeah.
And that's one of maybe 6 big companies in that area.
Yeah.
But then we're not really thinking about solar, right? Or we got a school here, right? Airstreams is here.
Yeah.
That's a big piece. You have ISPs here, several big ISPs.
I'd imagine there's over 1,000, right?
Yeah. I think maybe when you start to
and
add
what's
in
the population,
I didn't think about the school. I didn't think about the service companies. You might double that pretty quick.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to go do my homework and figure this one out
because it's a huge employer.
Yeah.
In this region.
And we were staring at turbines that are 37 years old. Those Mitsubishis back there.
Still spinning.
Does that sound right?
Yeah.
So
a lot
like
of them.
36, 37 years old. Still spinning.
Yeah.
There's a crane up there.
Yeah.
Changing out.
Yeah. Guys are up there in a crane man basket today. It was awesome. It was awesome. And you're like, and I asked you, I said, are they repairing that? And you're like, yeah, they're wanting those to spin. And I just find that like, I'm glad that we're embracing the longevity, in this time of repower, and there's benefits to that we know about, right? But, a 10-year cycle and then repower, and there's lots of companies that are doing great things in recycling the equipment anyway. But to see those things spinning and people still repairing them and that are 30 plus years old, they're still working, they're still producing clean electrons, and that's what's it all about.
That's what it's all about. There's a renewable play in there somewhere, right? Because you're keeping this older asset 2 times its life.
Totally.
If it was designed for 20 years, and
right,
you're pushing 40. I mean, there's a renewable play there that maybe more would think about. Later on when we get up this hill, maybe I'll get to show you the backside of it. And there's just material from older sites that have been torn down that these sites that are still running have collected. So they've built their own warehouse.
Yeah.
For the older. Yeah. They resto mod the old turbines.
And getting, and the ability to still get spare parts for some of those towers too. Like they must be sourcing them somewhat on their own and, figuring out a supply chain that's not as robust as today's, that having, however many GE15s are out there, where there's a huge supply chain for them. But these older turbines,
probably some in-house development,
I would imagine, right? Which is cool. It's just great to see. So I'm happy to be here and
glad you made it out.
Seeing Tehachapi and the landscape is really nice. It's hot today, but it's nice. It's really nice. So
that was cool. Good. And we got some 3S crews in the area.
So this was my first time to Tehachapi, not 3S's first time to Tehachapi,
Right.
as we found out. So yeah,
No,
we're
3S you're
installing.
representing.
We're
Yeah.
here. We're here. We've been here actually. We've done a few sites in the region where we retrofit with our Climb Auto system. Which I don't know if you can see it behind us a little bit, but it's kind of there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is cool. So yeah, we've retrofit a few hundred towers in the region.
Yeah.
And we're as we speak today, we've got a couple of crews out installing now. So yeah, we've kept ourselves busy, but not yeah.
You guys are kind of doing that per week almost across the nation.
We've been very busy. Yeah, this is the time of year that's usually the busiest. Also, like the construction starts to become, towers are becoming commissioned at this time of year. So we are doing somewhere in the range of like 200 lifts per week that we're installing. So
That's a lot of lifts.
it's a heavy lift.
It's a heavy lift.
So no, we've got our operations team, Justin and his team is just, they're killing it. They've got, we've got 75 of our own technicians. And we, that wasn't how it was a few years ago.
Recent
right?
ramp up.
2 years, I'd
2
say.
years.
Like the last 2 years have really stabilized to be in that level of, a ramp up. Now, we're not probably doing 200 a week every week, but it looks like we're going to be doing 200 a week for the next potential year to 2 years, right?
Wow.
So, yeah, a good group of our own technicians. A lot of them come. You mentioned Airstreams.
Oh yeah, hiring from Airstream.
We're hiring.
So
from
so
them.
do we. No,
Yeah.
love that school.
A great
Yeah.
group there. We do employ some service technicians from other players as well, some
Sure.
subcontractors that have really, we feel like, partnered with us. You know how that is. And you mentioned that earlier about how the industry's kind of feels like there's lots of good partnerships happening, even with some what maybe competitors. So I think that's
I found it to be
a
very
good thing.
friendly.
Yeah.
Very friendly.
Yeah.
And it was a pleasant surprise for me, right? I was 21 years at GE, and
Yeah.
you've been at GE, but when you're at a big OEM,
Yeah.
everything's proprietary. Everything's, you kind of hang out with the family. Is all you did, right?
Yeah.
So no, it's really neat to find out that folks are working together in
It is.
partnership, like you're saying.
It is.
Yeah,
We should talk about GE too. I think it's
We're
where I
gonna have
started.
to.
Yeah, we'll have to talk about
we're
GE.
gonna have to. We'll hit that on the career.
Because I'm from Albany, New York, and Schenectady's next door, and it feels like I've got some Schenectady in my
Oh, you're
blood.
from Albany.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
do then.
Yeah, for sure.
There's GE in the family there.
That's right. That's right.
For sure.
I know.
Where were we? 200 a week. How many are installed right now?
We just eclipsed 15,000. So, and that's across the U.S. and Canada.
15,000 turbines, U.S. and Canada, 3S lift.
We should have over 18,000 by year end,
Okay.
and over 25,000 by the end of next year. So if you think about that from a standpoint of how many turbines are there, right? Like, we estimate that there's somewhere around 50,000 turbines of 80 meter or so height, right? So we're not like a lot of the towers we saw today that are maybe they're 50 meters, or even
Sure.
a lot of them are lattice towers that are, I don't know, 30 meters,
30, 40, yeah.
right? Those probably aren't our bread and butter for
No.
a lift like this for obvious reasons. But yeah, we see about 50,000 and growing, right, with new construction. But certainly, that's our market.
Yeah.
And we hope that by the end of next year that we can maybe say that 1 out of every 2 of those towers out there have a lift in them, have our lift in them.
Wow.
Which is, I don't know if, I think a lot of customers are looking at it as the standard bearer. Like, this is something that they want and need to help their technicians have a better life. It sounds a little soft, but it's the truth.
Yeah, it's not soft though, right? There's there's safety, there's attrition, there's longevity, there's career growth that 80-meter climb starts to wear on.
When was the first cloud? Do you remember your first tower climb?
April 1997, 140-foot lattice tower. My climb test
Really?
right here on this hill.
There was a climb test on a lattice tower. Wow.
Yeah, no, it's so it was a couple of paper aptitude tests.
And you didn't have a tower wall to lean on in the back
No,
either, right?
and this tower had a radius, so it kind of comes up and then it straightens the last
Yeah.
section.
Tapered, yeah.
So it was you got to put your knee into the cable as you got to take the cable off of these holders
Mm.
every time to run your lad safe through
Yep.
several times. So this one was really tight, so you put your knee into it, otherwise it pushes you away from the tower. It was kind of fun.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you get to the top, you rope climb around the outside of it and go back down. That's the test. Can you do it or not?
So a little bit of like,
Lattice climbing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And if you passed all that, you might get an interview.
Yeah.
And then you go to the interview.
Which it's still, climbing is still a matter of, this one of the slogans for 3S's hashtag no more climbing. Um, and if you talk to safety professionals, they'll tell you that, repetitive motion is highly linked to soft tissue injury, right? Over and over and over. It's like if you sit at a computer all day long, like some of us do now, you're gonna, like my wife's hands start to hurt, it's repetitive motion.
Yeah.
And I think, you still have to be fit. You still have to be able to pass a climb test. But I think the advent of our lift in towers is enabling technicians to work smarter, to not have to expend their energy on the climb. Like you're troubleshooting a circuit in the nacelle, or you're making a hub entry in 100 degrees today. You're changing out, high, really heavy pitch motors or whatever. You have your full self, not just physically but mentally, ready to do that task, and not having to climb is a big thing. I remember hating it.
You hated it.
I hated it. There was a part I remember the first few months.
When was your first one?
2010.
Okay.
I don't remember the month like you do, but
Yeah, but
no, I might. It was
80-meter tower?
Yeah, 80-meter tower, winter, Canada.
Okay.
Yeah. And I remember it was fall probably. I remember thinking it was cool and talking to a lot of the techs, and we talked about, there wasn't, climb assist wasn't at that time, it wasn't a normalcy, right? Like there were rumblings that there's this thing called the climb assist that helps pull you up and can take some weight off of you as you climb, and we wanted that. And my role was unique at the time. I was kind of a site manager and training, but I spent a lot of time in the towers as well. And I remember initially the technicians and I that we buddied up with, we were, who could climb faster, right? And then
Sure.
after, can you get up in 4 minutes?
And how many can you do in a day?
And how many can you do in a day? And that was like a machismo thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think it's that way anymore. I don't. I think,
haven't
well,
heard that
after
in a
2
while.
months also, it was like, I don't want to do that,
Right.
right? And you start to realize that that's physically demanding, and that you can better spend your energy, if you can better spend your energy, not racing up and down a tower and being smart about every little thing. Like, you remember the days when you'd be up tower and you forgot a part.
Yeah.
What do you do?
We called it a sport climb. You can do one just for fun.
Yeah.
Go
Yeah.
get it.
And then there's some sites that still have to do that, right? Like
Yep.
there's still, and those are the sites that need to call us,
Yeah.
because the efficiency that they're going to gain from not having to do a sport climb or a bonus climb, and
Oh yeah.
not having to call the site manager who's got other things to do to run a card out. You can send the lift down remotely. You can put something in it, a bologna sandwich or a
Right.
cold water or a tool that you forgot. That also happens. A lot of injuries happen in wind up tower when you're using the wrong tool, like using a screwdriver as a hammer. We've probably all done that.
Absolutely. No. You get fatigue from climbing, so you aren't maybe thinking about the best possible strategy.
Yeah.
And then uh, technicians in general, very result oriented people to
Yep.
go get that.
Resilient. Yep.
Yeah, tough.
Yep.
Go get the turbine fixed up and online.
Yep.
This is the goal.
Zip ties and jumpers can do a lot,
Well,
you know.
well,
But,
let's yeah.
you know.
Yeah. We'd like to take this time to thank another one of our wonderful sponsors, Podge Engineering. Podge Engineering, making wind and solar all we know it can be. Are your renewable energy assets underperforming or not performing at all? Did you expect many years of longevity and they're failing on you now? Podge LLC offers many customized, engineered products and solutions to get these assets back on track. Podge Engineering also performs root cause analysis, engineering services, procurement, and construction. Visit podge.org. That's PADGE.org. Remember Podge, making wind and solar all we know it can be. Sure, but you're right. So you might not be using the right tool because of the time or the extra climb. And yeah, this takes it out of it.
And I just remember those, like, that's why I want to ask you, your early climbs and thinking, and there were days that, you know, we'd do 3 or 4, right? And I remember, even if I talk to guys today and text in the field to ask them how many climbs have you done, what's the most, you know, today there's not many sites that I visit that are more than 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Right. And we have, generally speaking, as an industry, gotten smarter at how to attack the maintenance and the troubleshooting strategies, right? So that hopefully you're not doing those sport climbs. But you feel it after a 3-day climb, right?
Yes.
You go home and so then that's why I said at the beginning, like, it's making their lives better, because when they get home, they're not like, oh God, like, you know, your kid wants to play with you, and like, don't you want to hang?
Right.
You know,
you have no energy for the family.
Yeah.
You're right. And some of those multiple turbines per day come in. It's almost seasonality for the techs and the team at the site.
True.
Maintenance time, low period, wind. We're gonna go get caught up. So it's and it takes, what's it take a human? A couple of weeks, 3 weeks or so to get used to something. So it's really hard. The other one I noticed was like one last thing before the end of the day. That turbine fault you were just on and you knew what it was, so you wanted to go fix it. But the ones with the lift, nobody has a problem with it. Yeah, I'll get that one and then drive home.
Some customers call it like the 3 o'clock climb, or the late afternoon where you're supposed to go home at 3:30 and you're at tower 43 and tower 45 faulted, and you know it's a vibration sensor or something that's going to take you
small
15 to 20 minutes to do. That tower, you may not do it, and that may be normal. The site manager may say, oh, well, don't worry about it, we'll capture it tomorrow. But think about it from an owner operator perspective. If I can go spend 15 minutes and not have to climb and exert the energy to climb to change that vibration sensor out, or maybe that's a bad example, maybe that takes an hour, but let's say it's something simple. You're changing a contactor. Then I'm down tower at 3:30. I'm ready to go, and that tower's running. Instead of being down for what would be 15 hours until 7 a.m. or 10 a.m. the next morning.
Right.
That's availability. That's energy production. That's revenue. So we like to show our customers some of these scenarios that, the 3 o'clock climb is one. One of the ones that's interesting too, that it's probably impacts some of the sites here. If there's, especially for older turbines or older sites, an unexpected grid outage. Okay. Do you remember that happening in your?
Sure.
What happens if you have 100 turbines and an unexpected grid outage knocks out the farm? What might happen after that?
Usually it's a come down, right, from anyone that's up tower. A stand down, we'll find out. Then somebody gets deployed to the substation.
Yep.
That's certified and qualified to go investigate. The rest of the techs.
But when the site wants to come back on, usually.
Oh, the return to service effort? Yeah. Sometimes you're climbing every one.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're visiting every turbine.
And usually it's what? You're only like changing a contact or a relay, right?
It
It's usually,
could be some manual resets,
yep, manual resets.
on some maybe overloads or something. Yeah, because that voltage fluctuation caused,
Exactly.
odd things to happen.
So when that's happened, and we have a site that this example rings true. There's a site in Kansas that has 99 turbines, and they had an unexpected site outage, and it's an older model turbine at this site, and they only have 6 technicians. And it knocked out where they needed manual resets on somewhere like 60 or 70 of the 99,
Hmm.
right? So you can do that math, and we're okay. I got 3 teams, 6 people. It's going to take you days to get that site fully back online.
Yep.
Week. Okay. So you could call in other crews, neighboring sites. Maybe they can come and help or whatever, right? Like there's a lot of those options exist. Or if you had a lift, you're getting that done in one day. And that's saving you 3 days of energy production. And 3 days of energy production in a year is almost 1% of availability.
Yeah.
So that's 1% of availability. That is huge and we've got a customer in Canada that I guess this site outage or unexpected outage thing happens
Hmm.
somewhat frequently. That's the reason that they want lifts. Yes, to your point, or yeah, the safety factors there, the longevity factors there, keeping those technicians longer into their uh, 30s, 40s, 50s even, or longer, hopefully, and their level of skill it gets better and better. But certainly that's a unique example of these outage situations that can really hit the bottom line.
Sure.
You know,
And you need me to work more hours that week to climb more and get them returned to service.
you're not
I,
struggling.
I'm able to.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that would be me. It'd be a little rough
I know.
climbing.
No.
I'm gonna need a lift.
It's changing the game. It's changing the game a little bit, and I like to see it. I like to see it. I think we do. You know this, having spent all the time at GE, and um, decisions like investment decisions for customers who own and operate renewable projects. They're done using financial metrics and ROIs, and what's my payback period.
Sure.
And we can and do show a lot of that value to customers. But at the end of the day, there's 1,000 people or more working out here in Tehachapi that are climbing or working on towers. That's a huge population of people who have the opportunity, and there is a solution to improve your job function and your safety. Like, let's do it. Let's do it. It's almost like we feel like it's the right thing to do and it's the right time. You know, there's the
It's almost what your customer said this morning when they.
he did.
Yeah.
He
That
did.
was kind of interesting.
It's sort of like and it's a step change, and I think that
Yeah.
happened once before when climate assists were fairly prevalent. It was the owner operators and the OEMs and the service providers going, this is just the right thing to do, also. We're going to
Yeah.
get some efficiency. It feels like the right thing to do. And one of the things now that I say is I think there is still some value in Climb Assist. We have Climb Assist. We haven't installed one in 2 years. But and my sense is that there's still some value in a flip phone too. But there's probably not too many flip phones that are being sold.
Trying to
Right?
think what I might use a flip phone for. Maybe if I'm grounding my child, you don't get the real phone. Here's a flip phone, right? Or it's somehow to restrict access.
And yeah,
I don't want to say anything bad about Climb Assist, but
it's
yeah,
it's still efficient.
it's still
It
efficient.
still does the job.
I hear that it
Uh,
really saves a lot of fatigue on the
it
legs.
does.
Yeah,
It does.
compared to free climb.
It
Is that
definitely
still the
does.
term?
Yeah.
Free climb.
Yeah.
Yeah, guys that have been doing this a long time are really worn out at the end of the day on a free climb.
They are.
Yeah.
They are. And
They're-
and especially here, I mean, in the extremes, we have a lot of customers that are in South Texas or in North Dakota whose, one of their major drivers is environmental, right? It's so cold in the winter that climbing becomes more dangerous. It's so hot in South Texas that climbing becomes more
It's the
dangerous.
human body's fatigued already.
Yeah.
It's working so hard just to stay warm or stay cold. Or,
If you're climbing in the winter, you're bundled, you've got all your gear. You've probably got 30, 40 pounds of gear and coats and stuff. And then you're sweating when you get to the nacelle.
and your body wasn't loose.
And then you're like, yeah, and you're taking
Yeah.
your stuff off. You're like, all right, I gotta. And you're sweating, and then there's hypothermic reaction that can come from that.
Gotta
'cause
balance
it's
this.
0 degrees in the
Yeah.
nacelle.
Yeah.
So there's some drive from just location where your site is, and also that it's probably harder to recruit in certain areas. So we have other customers who are, we're kind of talking about the different reasons why certain customers have come for this solution, but recruitment has been a big one.
Mm-hmm.
If you're remote, if you're in an area where your team, your technician pool is driving an hour, or 2 hours, an hour one way, an hour back. So you got, face windshield time.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of time.
It is.
And then you have to go and you have to climb 2 towers a day, and then you have to drive home an hour, and you're remote. So recruiting people in those kind of scenarios or those sites have been, we've seen some customers benefit from that.
And the folks that take those jobs, they're in general more the family driven folks, right? Mom and dad are driving an hour away.
Exactly.
For this, yeah. And
because it's a good job. Like it's, you started in the, I love it. I loved it. I still love it.
It's a great industry.
It's the best industry.
Everyone I know that's been in this industry has done well.
It's the best.
Everyone.
It's the best.
Yeah.
And I appreciate, the opportunities that I've had and the people that we've met and that it's, and it started with boots and a harness and a hard hat, and my first couple of years were in the field.
Sure.
And so there's still that connection to it. Still even like what we did today, going to a site and seeing the customer and seeing what they do on a site. That's the meat and potatoes.
It is. And I love it when they share, their strategy now, and how even though some of these sites are multiple years old, that the strategy continually changes and gets better, right? The amount of folks they have hired, the lifts that they're putting in. And it wasn't just about attrition. It was about quality of work life.
Yeah.
He said that his attrition just because the area is a little bit different, but
right.
Yeah, it's quality of work life, it's efficiency.
The other thing I think, you have, it's a well-paying job. It's a well-paying profession.
Yeah.
But there in the recent, maybe 5 or so years, there's other opportunities. You could, I don't know what you get paid to drive an Amazon truck, or work in an Amazon. I don't know, but it may be comparable in some places, and you don't have to climb 100 meters twice a day.
Sure.
In a ladder, right? So I think that there may be some other opportunities out there, but where it's not as physically demanding, and having this, like we're expanding our customers, owner operators, service providers' ability to hire wider. You can hire the 48-year-old who spent the last 20 years working on cars, who now wants to get into renewable or into wind, has the same skill set, and he can now do that because of the lift, right? Or the young woman who's 23 years old who really is technical and maybe grew up on a farm but likes the idea that there are wind farms nearby. Now you have and she may be the best technician on the site because she troubleshoots better than everybody else, but climbing could be a bit of a challenge. It's not anymore. And so you're improving that diversity. You're widening the ability for you to hire better people and keep them longer too, And so what does that do? Because when I started, there was not too many older guys and there were not too many females. There's more now. There's more women. There's more. The age has widened, right? And I think that I hope that 3S is our product is helping to expand upon that.
Let's thank our friends over at Renew Safety, your proactive partner in safety solutions. With comprehensive safety consulting, ensuring compliance with all safety regulations and standards. Expert staffing solutions, providing trained safety professionals tailored to your project's needs. Commitment to sustainability, promoting a safe and sustainable working environment. Contact Renew Safety at info@renewsafety.com and speak to one of their industry experts about their proven track record for safety management on numerous projects. Or perhaps you're looking for construction safety staffing, contractor monitoring, incident investigation, or program development and training. Check out Renew Safety at renewsafety.com. The managers are getting out. He says, I go out more. The managers go out more in spot check because we have the lifts. He goes, it's hard on us. We don't climb very often anymore and maybe don't have as much time. Now that the lifts are here, we don't think anything of it. We'll go climb and spot check, be with the team, check in on folks.
I love that.
Yeah, I didn't even think about it till he said it.
I know. I that's the first time I've heard a site manager say that, and maybe he's more, but that was awesome to hear. I'm like, oh, that's perfect. Now you're really, because now you're connected to the people doing the work.
Mm-hmm.
You're no longer this disconnected site manager who sits in your office, which they're busy. But now you're engaged, and you can go, double check that solution or that retrofit or whatever the troubleshooting challenge may be for the day. You can be there in a 10-minute drive and a 5-minute ride. That's great.
Years ago, we used to say, I guess it wasn't too many years ago, site managers had to spend some portion of their week in the field. It wasn't mandatory to climb, but you couldn't be in your office, right? Get in your truck, drive around, be around the people.
Right.
And now I didn't even think about this.
I love it.
Well, now get up tower. There's no excuse.
There's no excuse.
No.
Yeah. And that's got to make him, feel more connected to the team.
He was excited about it.
He was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never thought about that.
Because someone I remember hearing when I first started the phrase, if you want to be in wind, you start at the top and work your way down, right? Yeah. So like the first few years, you're going to be climbing all the time.
Sure.
Right. You're a tower guy, and then but at some point, there's only so many down tower jobs.
Right.
There's only so many site managers. There's only so many EHS professionals. And also there's lots of people who really like to do that work, right?
That's the thing.
They should be able to do that if they want to. We should, at some point
they should.
They should be able to do it.
Yes, they should. And that's why it attracts, I don't know what it takes to work at the warehouse at Amazon, but
right.
This industry attracts the technical minded, passionate folks that have the passion for the power transfer, or making power out of the wind, the mechanical rotation.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much engineering, design, and technology into it, and it attracts those people. Those might not have been the same people that are going to run a marathon every year because that's what they love to do, which is kind of like traveling, it's kind of like climbing for a few years. Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's kind of a marathon. It's not a sprint.
No.
You got to keep going.
On that too, it's one of the things, climbing does suck. And there were times where I remember, feeling there's some physical fitness involved in it, and it kind of was a bit of a workout, right?
Yeah.
And that felt good. It still does feel good at times, right? Like, no doubt, but repetitively can be an issue. One thing, and a lot of people, a lot of the techs and site teams that I talk to, they talk about the avoidance of a climb. So what one site manager told me a couple of years ago at a site that we had retrofit with our lifts, he goes, my techs are not avoiding the climb anymore. Meaning they used to try, tower faulted, stop, reset, down tower, stop, reset. Try to do something or force a variable, something down tower so that they could avoid the climb. Again, leading to longer downtime. Instead of 5 minutes, right?
It's all it takes is 5 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah,
crazy.
it runs at 18 meters per minute. 18 meters per minute.
Okay.
So if it's a 100-meter tower, it's about 5 minutes, right?
It's nothing.
It's nothing. It's nothing. And the other piece of that avoidance of the climb is in the morning. When you get to the site in the morning, you're probably having your round table, your toolbox talk or your safety talk, and then you're determining what it is you're going to do that day. And you mentioned something earlier that I liked. You called it what you called the right to start work.
Yeah, start work authority.
I love that.
You can exercise your start work authority.
So a lot of these technicians, if they're getting to the site and they're getting ready and prepared for the day, start work authority, which I love. You gotta tell me more about that, because they, if they get to the site at 7, they may not get to the tower until 9, because
That
they're
truck
like,
needs fuel every morning, Joe.
hey, I gotta stop and get a coffee. I forgot the,
We're gonna need
whatever.
more rags for this job.
Yeah,
Yeah,
something.
I get it.
Right, and
It's a lot.
yeah, and what we did a technician survey a couple years ago, and this came to light. There were 500 technicians that we surveyed anonymously, so they didn't know it was a 3S lift survey, and we published these results a couple years ago. And overwhelmingly, the technicians admitted to avoiding a second climb by delaying the first climb. So get to the tower at 9 instead of, say, 7:30, when they were probably ready to, means that by the time they're done with their task of tower, it's 2. There's not enough time to go to the next tower. I might be doing the same thing, right? It's this is your job every day, and so
I did it when I was young.
yeah,
And there were, after 2 or 3 days of 4 climbs a day,
yeah.
that 4th day or 5th day, I think we need breakfast. My legs are, and that was when I was young too.
I know.
Yeah, no, it wears on you.
It wears on you.
Yeah,
It
and
wears
you're
on
like, I can do 1 today, maybe.
Right.
And it really would think about it that way.
Yeah. And
all
then
I got.
and then the mental aspect comes in too. It's just this like daunting task of like,
Yeah. And I always wanted to go to work, right?
yeah,
But it's 80 meters to work. It's
Right.
80 meters for me to go to work.
that's right. I remember.
Yeah.
I 3S's first office was I lived in Chicago. Right now we live in New Hampshire. But we lived in Chicago for 6 years, and that's where I started with 3S. And our first office was in the NBC building in Chicago. And I think I was on like the 27th or 28th floor. And I remember talking to a customer early on. And this was early. We started in 2018 in the US. As a company, this product has been around now for a decade. So this isn't a new product per se, right? So we've been in the US for 7 years, globally over 10, and there's 90,000 of these globally. Wow. But I remember talking to a customer and saying, yeah, I work on the 27th floor of the NBC tower. If I were to try to replicate what a wind technician does, I would take the stairs to my office, right?
Yeah.
And nobody in their right mind would take the stairs 27 floors up to your office
And
every
it's
day.
not as hard. You don't have to use your arms.
You don't.
You don't have to wear an extra 15 pounds of gear.
Right. And you're
Yeah.
probably in like an air-conditioned corridor of, like.
Yeah, not big,
Yeah.
heavy steel toe
Yeah.
boots.
Yeah. But no, that'd be crazy, right?
Yeah.
That'd be crazy.
That'd be crazy.
We take for granted that, that's going to have an elevator that goes super fast.
No. I get the second floor of a hotel. I'm like, I'll wait for the elevator.
Yeah.
Not really. But
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, but I do believe the time is, what's Bob Dylan? Is it Bob Dylan? The times are changing.
The times are changing.
The times are changing. They always
Yeah.
are. They always were. Right. And I think it's time to really recognize that whether it's our product or another's, right? That climbing really should be avoided. It really should be. I know we talked about it a lot, but I think it's
even when you hit safety, anything that can offer some risk should always be avoided.
Totally.
How do you mitigate it? How do you engineer it out?
Yeah.
How do you process it out?
Yeah.
And this engineers it out.
It does.
Takes it off.
It does. I think
This takes it out of the way. And just on the technology a bit, because I haven't been on a 3S lift yet, so I need to schedule my trip. But I didn't understand all of the safety pieces involved with the double grip,
Hmm.
additional, I don't know, level sensors here or there, or speed sensors. Um,
Yeah,
Take me
I'll
through
give you
that.
the
And you're still
rundown.
connected to the tower, to the
Yeah.
tower ladder.
So one of the big benefits, there's a few safety features that I think I'll highlight for you. One is you're independently connected to a safety rail. Okay, so as if you're inside of a service lift, which we sell, you're enclosed and you're attached to the lift
Mm-hmm.
in theory. Okay, so you're independently connected to a rail. You can climb freely above or below the lift.
Stop the lift and just climb.
Yeah,
Got
yeah.
it.
You have tool handle switches that are like ski handle poles, and they have switches on them, two buttons that you press, and you have to press them simultaneously. If you let go of one, the lift stops. Okay. The lift is designed in accordance with lots of different codes and standards of our industry in North America. So it's limited to the OSHA ANSI 310-pound weight limit. So
Okay.
there are weight sensors in the foot pedals that dictate or determine, your weight or your load, right? If you're 200 pounds, but your, coat and whatever else you're carrying is 50, it'll measure you at 50 or
Yeah.
250. Um, Below the lift there are anti-collision sensors that look like little scissor lift panels. So in case there's a hatch that's closed, then the lift will come down and come in contact with that. It won't damage the hatch. It won't damage the lift. Um, there are features that there's a anti-collision switches on top of the ski poles that look like antennas, but similarly going up remotely, let's say, you know, you maybe went down tower and I'm still up tower, so you want to send the lift up. So you send the lift up remotely to me. These anti-collision switches would, again, in case it came into contact with something going up tower. Um,
So if I'm on the ladder and where would it hit me? The bottom of my boot?
yeah, you could stop it in any case. I mean,
It would just stop.
if the lift is doing something you don't want it to do, you can press almost any button. It'll stop it.
Yeah, sure. But I
Um,
guess what I heard is it took the human error out of that
we tr-
safe operation.
we try to do everything to take the human error out
Yeah.
of it. The lift itself has a fall arrestor in it. So you have a fall arrestor that runs in our rail. Okay, so it's a 3S rail. It's a 3S fall arrestor. It's called the R60. We think it's the best fall arrestor out there. And you talked about when you climbed with a wire rope fall arrest system, which anybody who's ever climbed a tower with a wire rope fall arrest system know that at times it gets stuck,
Sure.
right? Like it just
Yeah,
gets stuck.
coming down sometimes takes longer.
Coming down does
Yeah.
take longer,
Yeah.
and that in itself can be an issue safety wise because you're taking your hand off the ladder, trying to manipulate the wire rope or the fall arrestor to let it slide down, right? We don't have that issue.
Right.
We don't have that issue. This thing glides through the rail really smoothly. So the car also has its own fall arrest
Okay.
device. So if for whatever reason this lift falls, which it doesn't fall, doesn't drop,
Right.
um, it it would catch itself.
Extra safety measure there. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And so we've had to, as a company, we have appreciated our engagement, especially with the OEMs, because they have been rigorous with their testing requirements and safety requirements.
That's good.
And we've been able to show them like the different design features and safety features that we've implemented over the years, to make sure that this is, as foolproof,
Sure.
let's say, or to avoid that human error,
Yeah.
as you said. Yeah,
That's a lot of safety features.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
no, that's fantastic. They go in quick. Installation doesn't take too long.
It's not that bad. We've got a few teams that are really efficient, but our normal two-person team is installing one lift in one day.
A
8
day, a
hours.
day is fast.
Yeah, a day.
Yeah.
Yeah. So your downtime, you're not looking at a big downtime
No, so
scenario.
you shut the turbine down for Okay, an 8-hour working
An
day.
8-hour working day, and
And
that
you got to
includes
lift.
us removing the existing fall protection system, removing
Mm,
potentially an existing climb assist, and then replacing that with the entire system, our rail, the car, the motor, right? We do have some teams who can do two in a day, and
sure.
they're cranking. They're super efficient, at what they do, and really have um, a good rapport. Those are the teams who are really kind of special with the way that they work together and know exactly the movements,
They
right?
got the
No
process
no
down.
wasted movement, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. No, that's impressive right
yeah.
off the bat. I was thinking the owner of the site, it doesn't suffer much downtime
No,
to get the lift installed.
no, no, it doesn't.
No,
So, you're the tower is back on, that afternoon when we leave.
that's
So,
amazing.
yeah,
And here, no more
yeah.
climbing this one.
Exactly. We have some customers who we'll put more teams, say like they want to just get it done. So
Speed it up.
yeah, I want, give me as many teams as you can, 5 or 6 teams, and there's 100 towers and we'll get done in a few weeks. There's other customers who are a little more cognizant of the downtime and they'll say, hey, can you just send 2 teams and these 100 towers we'll do 2 per day and it'll take us, 2 or 3 months. So,
Right.
we can do whatever their
Pretty
preferences are.
flexible on the
Yeah.
project management piece then.
It depends, labor
Yeah.
labor resources, as you know, is we're planning those things out.
Yeah.
We're looking at it every day.
Sure.
What's the next month look like? What's the next 6 months look like in terms of manpower planning? But yeah, we're trying to do as much as we can. We're hiring still.
Right.
So yeah,
But I guess if I'm the owner, what I was hearing is start talking to you quick if I want to plan in the future, and that we can also talk about cycle time to get the site done and
yeah,
those
yeah.
kinds of pieces.
Where are we right now? We're in August, so we're having trouble meeting a demand to get installations this year. We're that's our backlog, right? So if customers came to us and said, "Hey, can you get 100 units in by December?" We're gonna probably say yes. I hope so, and we're gonna try to do our best to get the manpower to that point.
That's a
Um,
short cycle time
it is.
from
It is. I
ITO
mean,
to
we've got a
OTR.
40,000 square foot warehouse in Dallas that
Yeah.
has, at any given time, 1,000 lifts,
Okay.
right, ready. So supply chain is
At 200
there.
a week,
No,
you're cycling through a lot of lifts
we are,
through
we are.
Dallas.
Yeah, it can
Yeah.
hold 2,000. But our levels where we're trying to keep are usually around 1,000. We don't want to drop below that.
Sure.
Um, but
Wow.
yeah, right now we're booked out, and it's exciting.
We'd like to thank our sponsors, 3S Lift, a global supplier of safety and access solutions with a focus on wind energy. Their innovative ladder-mounted single technician lift called the Climb Auto System completely eliminates the need to climb ladders up to 120 meters. And if you've ever climbed in the freezing cold of North Dakota or the sweltering heat of South Texas, you know the safety and efficiency value that this product brings to wind technicians and owner-operators. In North America, 3S has installed over 15,000 of these lifts and are installing 200 per week. If your site is still climbing, you should contact 3S Lift at info@3samericas.com to get your quote to retrofit your turbines, or go on their website 3slift.com to learn more. Is summer the busier time for installation?
The fall probably gets the busiest.
Okay.
The fall gets the busiest. Like we're about to embark on the busiest time. So all of the majority of our business is retrofit turbines. So all the turbines that you see out here have been installed. I don't know, when do you think the newest site in Tehachapi?
Oh boy.
10?
10 years?
10? Yeah.
10 years
Yeah.
ish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the vast majority of our business right now continues to be the retrofit market, right? I think, like I said, I think there's 50,000 or so out there
Right.
that we could attack, let's say, or retrofit. Um, but the new construction, you know, season is now. And
And
so,
new construction, they're putting in the same lift.
yeah, yeah.
Okay,
So one OEM, we have 100% of their new construction business and have for several years.
gotcha.
A few of the other OEMs, we will get new construction orders through the end user or the customer. Um, so yeah, I mean, I think, and that's a change too, Adam. I think that's important. Is
Yeah.
we're seeing the industry, the OEMs, the owner operators saying, hey, we're building this wind farm. It's going to be here for a long time. Let's spend a little bit more money. That's in all reality of the hundreds of millions of dollars that you're spending on building that wind farm, to add the benefit of a lift or a service lift is not.
And the decision at project development
Yeah,
makes sense,
makes sense.
right?
It makes sense. In fact, like we've even seen some of the long-term service pricing be reflected in whether or not you have a lift. Think about, I mean, the average turbine today, I think, is about a 3 megawatt, 100-meter tower. The new construction in 2023. That was
Okay.
the average. If you blend everything together,
Gotcha.
so it's a 100-meter tower. Okay, and if you are a service provider or an OEM who's offering 10-year service agreement or 20-year service agreement, what would your pricing be if you had to climb versus what would your pricing be if you had that lift? You think there'd be some efficiency gains? And there are. And
Believe it or not, I've been on that pricing team.
I know.
Yeah.
And there are, and that's good to see that
Yeah.
these benefits are being reflected commercially, and as they should be. So I think that's really a good thing, that that the service providers can see the efficiency, whether it's on some labor efficiency. You can do more with less people.
Mm-hmm.
Or we talked about the efficiencies of the 3 p.m. thing and the outages. So there's definitely gains that can be made. And even if you, as a service provider, Altair is bidding a job, are you looking at that and saying
100%.
you are?
Absolutely.
Should be.
And what type,
Right.
right?
Right.
Is it a 3S lift? Is it a climb assist of
Yeah.
some other type?
Because it'll change the way you bid the job.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It should.
Yeah. I mean, that's just some short-term things, maybe not, but yeah, a long-term, or longer-term
Yeah.
campaign or time at site for a project result, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, we'll do more work per day and we'll plan it that way.
Yeah.
You bet.
The one thing too that we're still learning about is how it may or may not change the strategy of long-term maintenance, of preventative maintenance, of how service providers bundle their tasks. Could you change the way you do things? And I think we're seeing some customers start to look at different ways, and everyone does things a little differently. Like we heard today that the troubleshooting crews are the same as the annual inspection or the annual maintenance crews, so they're all in one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Other customers we see, well, these guys, this group is our annual inspection crew, and this group is our troubleshooting crew, and that's their main deal. But even like the day to day, what you put in the task plan, I think can change a little bit, and we're not really sure as to what that is yet.
No, well, it does change. I think the pieces you brought up, the 3 p.m. climb,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? So the amount of work per day changes. So then the manager gets to rethink the work plan for the year.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, the one thing too is this is in a lot of towers now. Like we said, 15 or so thousand of the top 15 owners in North America. That lift is in 14 of the top 15 owners.
Fantastic.
So that one owner, you know who you are, but like,
We're going to go see them.
no, I'm joking.
I don't know
but
who this is.
but no, and I'm really proud of that. I'm extremely proud of
Yeah,
that. I'm super proud of
congratulations.
the team, and we've worked really hard to get to this point. We have a really good product that we stand behind, and the credit goes to the product, to what it does, and but seeing that 14 of the top 15 owner operators have this product in their towers, and we have a long way to go, Adam. Like that's there's still a lot of those 14. They have thousands more towers that we have been unable to retrofit to date, but we're working hard to try to get that.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
But it does show that the adoption is there.
The adoption's there, and you've been scaling up to match demand
Yeah,
with both product and people,
yeah, yeah, exactly.
installation cycles.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. It should be a congratulations.
Nah,
Yeah,
I
well, to
appreciate
you
that.
and the team installing them too.
Yeah.
Those are dedicated individuals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They are. They are. Our teams, in the field we have technicians that have been with us for a handful of years now.
Nice.
I've been here 7 years, and it's great to see. And this is an industry that we didn't touch on this, but turnover is a huge piece
Yep.
of the challenge of retaining good skilled workers is very hard, and even for us, right? Like, because installing these lifts is
Well,
hard.
you don't get to use the lift to go install the lift.
That's the tough part.
Yeah, you guys are still
you
you're
actually
doing the
do.
last real hard.
You get to use the lift to build the rails. So that's the cool part is
okay.
when we install the lift, we put
Looking at the picture.
we put the bottom pulley on, okay, and then we climb up and we put the top pulley on, and you have a top pulley and a top rail, and then we run the wire rope. Okay, so imagine now you have a bottom rail, a top rail, and the wire rope is fully tensioned,
Okay.
and then you have no rail in the middle, so there's no track, and we
Right.
essentially lay the rail with the lift as you go up, right? So you kind of use the lift, go up, stack the rail, use the lift, stack the rail as you go up.
Oh,
So there's
very
some
cool.
use of the lift, but not.
That's clever
It's
though.
still
That's a
it's
clever. way
still
to do it.
hard to,
Yeah.
but no, all the props to our operations team and the work they're doing is, it's a lot. It's a
Yeah.
lot. So
No, they're making a difference.
they are.
They're making
They
a
are.
difference.
And we appreciate it.
Yeah.
So
And good feedback about the team.
yeah,
Just
yeah.
from this morning.
Yeah, that's good to hear.
Yeah.
It's good to hear, and I think it's it's the culture piece for us is, what and we can this will be a GE segue is, customer first was
Yes.
one of the things, right? There was a few value pieces there, but customer first was one of the things that I always took away from GE.
Yep.
And that was drilled into me. And the other thing that was drilled into me was the say-do ratio. So how trustworthy are you? Are you delivering on a one-to-one basis? Are you saying you're going to do this and not doing it? Then your say-do ratio is below 1. That's not good. So what we try to do is, be really honest with our customers in everything, right? From the beginning to the end. And it goes down, it's the hardest thing when, if we're like, I talk to my team and I try to do this with my guys. If I'm going to be 4 minutes late to a meeting, I'm going to text them and say, hey, I'm sorry, I'm going to be just 4 minutes late. I'll be there.
Sure.
Right. I just think that there's some
Courtesy.
courtesy there.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
And I hope that our team is doing the same thing, because I think there's a lot to be gained from that. It's okay if you're 4 minutes late. I get it.
Yes.
It'd just be nice if I knew about it.
Right. Just
So,
share it. Yeah. We'd like to thank our sponsor, Altair Energy Services, and their highly trained, expert technical staff, leveraging decades of renewable power management experience into customized solutions for everyone to meet their energy goals and contribute to a better future for all. Altair's team of hardworking, respected experts are providing full-scope, turnkey repairs, planned and unplanned maintenance, system upgrades, fully autonomous technical crews, supplemental staffing, and customized dynamic scheduling to fit your power production needs. Contact Altair at info@altairenergyservices.com and learn more about their wide range of capabilities across multiple power technologies and platforms. All right, you're doing the GE segue, but maybe just ask, how did you get started in wind?
Oh man.
And we'll make that part of the career discussion in
Yeah,
a
okay,
bit.
cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
this is funny. So you were at GE at this time. We didn't know each other, but
No.
in 2010, I was in a project management leadership program. It was called the PMLP. Great program, 2-year program, and you kind of move around. You'd go from, and I was an engineer, so you'd go from like project management for 3 or 4 months. I went to sales in wind, which was my first entry in wind before I got to the field. I spent like 4 or 6 months in wind energy sales in Schenectady, New York.
Product or services?
Both,
Okay.
mostly product, but working for the same people that are there now are
Ah,
awesome. And are like super, they're the mentor. They told me and taught me what a PPA was.
okay.
And right, so this was the level that I was at that time.
Yeah.
And I had a visa to go to Kuwait to work for 6 months on a combined cycle power plant, gas
Oh,
turbine power plant. 2 weeks prior to the flight, HR was like, "Yeah, we can't send you to Kuwait." And I'd been planning for months, right, to go live in Kuwait.
you already had the translation dictionary.
I don't, yeah,
Yeah.
this was like a life. This was gonna be,
Yeah.
oh my God, my parents were like, they were not happy about this situation, but I was like, I think it'll be good. And they said, no, we can't send you to Kuwait. Do you want to go to Ontario, Canada? There's a wind farm that we're building there. I was like, yeah, that sounds awesome. so, and so I went from Kuwait to Chatham, Ontario,
Okay.
and I lived there for 6 months, and that was my first like real foray entry into wind. And I was grooming as a site, and I was grooming as a site manager, project manager for thermal, and sort of shifted to wind,
Okay.
right? And that was my first training there. I ended up spending 6 months, and at the time it was it was a GE 2.5 XL European based turbine. It was a 25100. The
All
same
right.
turbines that went in Shepherd's Flats,
Yeah.
right? The
Right.
Oregon project.
It was. I think originally, to me, it was like the original 3X, but yeah, kind
Yeah.
of dialed down a little bit.
Yeah, it had
Yeah.
like a PPM. There was like this
Hmm.
stackable modules in the base of the tower. But the funny story there, and Bo Fullen,
Yeah.
who I still credit a lot of my learning to. And I was this younger sort of engineer trying to ask questions, and I asked a lot of questions probably. And I remember sitting at a table, probably like this, and you're in a double wide, and look, this was a bit of a science project for GE. These were the first 8 turbines that were 60 hertz of that style, right? In North America at that time. So we were still figuring
Kent
out
Breeze.
Kent Breeze.
Ha ha.
It was Kent Breeze.
All right.
Yeah,
I've been there.
yeah. And so I'm asking questions and hey Bo, what about this? Hey Bo, what about
Yeah.
that? And he goes, Bo's I think he's from West Texas. Giovanni, I'm going to tell you this once and once only. RTFB. 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 I'm like, what do you mean? What's R? Read the book, you know?
Read the book.
I'm like, read the effing book. All right, yeah, all right, all right. And he threw this like huge installation manual on the table and just banged it on the table and goes, "You want to read that book?" You know? I think I did.
Here we go.
Here we
Yeah.
go. I was like, okay, here we go. So no, it's like, and there's a lot that goes into this,
Yeah.
and that was the first time. So that was, and I realized then, like probably like you, is I really liked it. I was like, this is awesome. I love the field. And I had that little stint in sales in Schenectady, so I knew how the contracts kind of got put together. I didn't really know much about sales, but I
Mm.
at that time, and I think getting to the field really opened my eyes to seeing how cool this industry is. There's lots of stuff going on, and as a kid, my dad was a contractor, and I liked
Mm.
building stuff and seeing things move and get done, and you know,
It's job satisfaction there when you get to witness it like
isn't
that.
it?
It's
When
so
you
tangible or
yeah,
visual. Yeah.
when you see the tower stack, and then you top out, and then you fly a rotor, there's this like feeling, of of satisfaction
There's
that
always something cool when there's a crane by a wind turbine for some reason.
yeah,
It makes
something
a cool
cool's
picture.
happening. Yes,
Yeah.
I know.
Something cool's
Especially
happening.
at night. Like
Especially at
that.
night. Yeah.
I know.
All
I
right,
know.
PMLP. And I didn't know PMLP bridged across GE's different business segments.
Yeah.
So
It was a GE
that's
Energy
cool. Okay.
program at the time. It was GE Energy.
I love those leadership programs.
Yeah.
I've seen so many great career, people just their careers blow up.
I think the GE. I spent 7 years there, and without a doubt, looking back on that time is like the greatest learning experience of my life. And that credit to that program for sure. I got to spend time in different countries, and worked in some different places, which was an experience that you don't get at a lot.
No.
Unfortunately, we can't give that to folks at 3S Lift right now.
Well,
Yeah, and we do have businesses and or offices in other countries and stuff like that, but not to the extent that provided.
North America is still pretty cool to travel around in.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I know.
Well, what happened after PMLP and Kent Breeze?
Yeah, so I
Where'd
think
you go?
that back then. So this was like 2010, and then I spent a couple years. I built as a site manager a few sites with GE, and the PTC went away. PTC crashed, I think, in 2012, at the end of 2012. And I had site managed a project called Hoosac in Massachusetts, which was on these two mountains in northwestern Massachusetts in the Berkshire Mountains.
Okay.
And I had a great mentor. I think one of the most important things, Adam, is having mentors and having friends and
Couldn't agree
people that
more.
you can look up to, and I still do. And to me, I feel that was one of the things that helped me, and I had that at GE, and that mentor at the time, his name's Don Partridge. Don helped me get a job as a project manager in Australia.
Oh, cool.
When the PTC crashed, he's like, "Hey, do you want to move to Australia and work on this combined cycle aeroderivative gas turbine project?" Northwest Australia, I lived in Perth, which is
Okay.
like akin to San Diego in terms of weather and location. And then in the northwest of Australia, it's called the Pilbara region. Tons of mines. So these huge mines, they mine copper, aluminum, iron ore. Like the majority of the iron ore gets shipped to China that's made into steel for
Okay. Didn't know
China.
that.
And so this project that I worked on there for a little over a year and lived there was built to power these mines. So I did that, and again, kind of came back and stayed in gas for a couple of years, and then made my way to Chicago, and spent 3 years working for Goldwind in sales, and then Vestas for the last 2 years before I came to 3S.
Okay.
So,
And how long have you been at 3S?
2018,
Okay.
I started. So almost gonna be 7 years when the year turns to
Gotcha.
25. Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
cool.
It's exciting.
It
It's
is.
exciting, man. We're I was with our leadership team in New York City. The founder and CEO of the group, Jason Liu, he's been with the company since the founding, right? And so as a company, we just went public a couple years ago in Shanghai Stock Exchange, and they're really supportive of what we've done here, and want to see this be here. I told him, I said, I can't believe I've been here 7 years already, and he said, I want to see you be here another 7 years and another 7 years.
I
So
bet.
that's good. It's good. Yeah.
How many lifts were installed in 2018?
Dude. So we, I think 33.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
33. And now
Ask how many we
15,000.
sold that year.
All right, how many did you
Zero.
sell?
Zero. Those were
Zero.
33. Yeah, we did not sell any. The strategy was we have to get this thing out,
Real grassroots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
you had
that
to
wasn't
prove
the
you had to prove yourself too.
we did,
Yeah.
and look, that wasn't the game plan from day one. I was hoping to sell,
Sure.
right? But I
Yeah.
think we quickly realized that we have to showcase this and get it installed. So yeah, we installed 33, and then a few years later we broke the 1,000 mark, and
Now it's wild.
I
Well,
know.
I don't want to say wildfire. In California, we have them.
Yeah,
Seems like every 2 days.
I know,
But they're
I know,
flying off the shelf,
so
I
to speak.
guess. Yeah.
Yeah,
No, that's fantastic.
yeah, it's exciting.
15,000. And it seems you can't even do enough. Um,
We
well, that's an overstatement, but you know,
we think that you
there's
know,
still a huge demand.
there's still a huge demand. There's still a
Yeah.
huge market out there, and you know this, but every customer does have their own challenges
Mm,
of financing the project, whether it's is it an OpEx cost? Is it a capital expense if you're a utility or you're an IPP? It depends
yeah.
on how you look at that investment. So we have to be mindful of that when we go and we talk to them and sell them and talk about how to structure things. But we're talking to customers now about doing different payment terms and models and things like that where we'll install this year and you can pay over the next 2 years or that kind of thing. So there's different programs that have offered and executed that helps kind of each situation can be different.
That makes sense. Well,
Yeah.
uh,
It's not
that's
a one size
that's
fits
a
all.
good OEM partner when the OEM starts to help with the financing
Yeah.
piece, right? Not just the ROI
Right.
calculation and the sales part, but really,
Right.
how do we make this money work
Right. And
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 turn it around for the site?
we didn't talk about this, but I think it's important is like the spare parts piece and the maintenance piece of this. It's really a simple product to maintain.
Ah,
We 3S can and are happy to perform annual inspection, annual maintenance, but we also do a lot of training. Right, we have a GWO certified facility in Dallas, and we bring customers in and we train them on how to inspect the lift, or we go to their sites and do that. And so a lot of our customers are self-performing the annual inspections, which is a little different than a service lift. Service
sure.
lift typically has really specialized maintenance. And so it's worth noting, our team is we're focused on doing the best we what we want ultimately is the best running lift and the safest running lift. And if our customers want us to do that, happy to do it. We have a team of dedicated maintenance technicians that go and perform annual inspection maintenance, which can be 30 minutes a turbine. It's not a
Sure.
huge effort, right? It's not like
You're,
taking a
but
tower
you're
down.
sending somebody that knows what to look for.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
So you're confident in it. I love that. To
Mm-hmm.
me, that's where OEMs should excel,
Yeah.
right? The product,
Yeah.
the service, we're here for you, but
Right.
it's not the core. Our core is our product.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the
Yeah.
efficiency, the safety, the technology.
Yeah.
No, that
Totally.
makes sense.
Totally.
Yeah, yeah. But you're there if the customer needs you for the service, and you'll train them as well. It sounded like. Did I hear that right?
If we've done training and we have our lift in maybe a dozen or so training centers.
Hmm.
So think of the GWO facilities here. We have a lift. If a customer has a training center, and they where a lot of them do now. They have their own facilities where they have a few ladders, and they bring their technicians in and they train them for a 2-week course before they get to the field, right? And so we go and we put our lift there because that's part of their job now is to learn how to use the lift safely.
Safely. How to
Yeah,
use it safely.
yeah,
I love that part.
yeah. So then we're putting in a lift in the training centers, and they're getting to incorporate that into their onboarding process, right? And then and potentially if they want us to come out and do a training to show them how to do some troubleshooting or annual inspection maintenance, it's we're there to do that too. So yeah,
No, that's the right partnership
yeah,
strategy.
yeah.
That's fantastic.
We and spare parts wise, there's not a lot of spare parts. It's not our customers. A lot of them may just keep a crate, for some wear items that they replace, every so
Sure.
often. But our facility in Dallas is there for a reason. We're overnighting things as needed.
So if we didn't have the spare parts on site, it's
We have it.
easy to find.
We have it.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
that's easy.
So yeah, man.
Wow,
Yeah.
fantastic.
I know. No, it's exciting. Thanks for having me.
Gio, thanks for coming out
This
here.
This is good.
Love hearing more about 3S, and always great to be hanging out with you.
You too. You too, Adam.
All right, buddy. Enjoy the
Thanks.
rest of your trip.
You too. Thanks.
Bye.
See ya.